it's a sort of sad state of affairs, really. This is the kit that's left over from when Geoff's plants were vacated the premises, basically. This is the kit. I mean, look, there's 3 fan heaters over there. There's 2 humidifiers. There's lights all over the place. There's heating tubes, other forms of heaters. It's just all this stuff, and you know, it's stored at Ken's place at the moment. Got no idea how he's going to get rid of it all. I mean, there's all his water controllers there. There's a complete watering system there with timers, inflows, outflows. With some of the old-fashioned lights, you know, that start up with a ballast. Some of those down there. You know, there's tubes in here. Haven't even got lights to go in. There's just so much stuff. There's stuff up here too. There's another fan heater there. More watering controls up there. Crazy. And Ken's sort of getting to the point now where he's wondering how on earth he's ever going to get rid of it. And now, walk with me. Walk this way. If I could walk that way, I could earn a fortune. Right, let's go and have a look. Right, so that's Marion's plants. So this is the stuff that's come from our deceased chairman. And the door's wide open because it was getting a bit warm in here. So again, it's kit. All sorts of things in here. And this is all Derek's stuff. Now, I'm not going to film individual plants, and we'll have a look at what I've taken away, which is not a huge amount, but there is a concern here with both. Well, Ken had the concern, and I'm backing it up. Basically, there's a lot of these plants that are labelled, and this guy's been growing orchids for 50 years. These are not 50-year-old plants. These are all young offshoots. You know, this is an offshoot with its first new growth since it was put in that pot, I suspect. And they're all small. And some of the names that I know, the plants are just like quarter the size in some cases of what they should be for that plant. So we don't really know what's happened. Of course, you can't ask now, can you? Too late. But look at the size. These are all Oncidium types, Odontoglossums. Look, there's one. You'll know this because I've got it. It's one of the plants to go. Does that really look like Gilded Tower Mystic Maze? It's tiny. So we're uncertain. But Derek had a lot of really good Cymbidiums, most of those up the back. They aren't of any interest to me. These have been put aside specifically for somebody else, so those were nothing to do with me. I found a few plants in amongst here that I've taken away. We'll have a look at those in a minute. But yeah, it's just, you know, as I say, I recognise quite a few of the names, and the plants just don't look anywhere near as big as they should be. We'll see them in a minute, but what I've tried to do is look for healthy plants with a nice strong new growth on, to grow on. I mean, there's no plants I've got that are mature. None. So, the box of Cymbidiums. Yeah, strange. Strange. Anyway, you know, Derek had been ill for a while. We don't know what care these were given. He died Christmas Day, and until these plants were brought back here a day or two ago, they were being looked after remotely by somebody who was visiting every week. So their care hasn't exactly been up to speed for the last 6 months, let's put it that way. Maybe longer. So, and basically if you're ill, you can only do what you can do, and that might be next to nothing. So anyway, let's get me home and we'll have a look at what I picked up. So I'll be back. Okay, we're back home again. We took a really big box and didn't need it. Basically my criteria at looking at those plants were that I was told there were quite a few of the Odontoglossum types in the collection, so I had my eye out for those initially, but as you saw a lot of those plants were very dwarfed, and it's difficult to work out why that collection looks like that at the moment. So my initial criteria was, is the plant healthy? In amongst, you scan over a tray of plants and you think, nope, 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 nope. Oh, that one looks quite nice new growth or something. What is it? So that's the sort of way I came about this. Now I've come home with more plants than I intended, but most of them are tiny, so they're not going to take up loads of space. And in the main, I've brought home plants to grow on, which is not like me, but you know, the guy was a friend for quite a number of years, as well as being chairman and, you know, the figurehead of the society. So, you know, these are memories coming in, not just plants, so bear that in mind. And then I'm going to do this one-handed because I can't be bothered to set up all the tripod and everything. My whole day is changed now. I should be watering all my pots today, and I'm now not going to. So for the first time this year, we'll be going round with the sprayer, and then I can go round and look at those pots tomorrow and see whether they got enough water, you know, drain the drip trays, just do all the business tomorrow. So today I'll just whiz round with the sprayer because they've been a while and they are dry. See what I mean? This is a tiny little plant, but it's healthy. There's a couple of old pseudo bulbs on there. The latest pseudo bulb looks quite good. So what have we got then? What we've got is Oda Cooksoniae. So although that's got a capital letter on it, it is actually a species and not easy to come by. So, you know, part of the criteria is, bearing in mind we've lost our access to a lot of nurseries, so that's that one. That's all I'm going to do this time. We'll just have a quick look at them. I doubt if many will get repotted. Now, I spotted that as soon as I walked in the door. And Ken looked at me as I walked in the door. He said, I know what you're going for. It's beautiful. It's not large. Those are small blooms for plants of this type. So what have we got then? Let's see if it says on the label. Actually, it doesn't. I hope it says on one of the other labels then. If not, it's an unknown. It is an unknown. Okay, we have not got words on the label. So I may be able to identify that on the internet, but it is of a type that has many like it. So maybe I never will. But again, you know, there's a couple of little bulbs. This has been grown on from a seedling. It just seems odd. You know, for somebody who's been growing 50 years, there's lots of young plants around. So you're going to have to excuse the coffee at regular intervals. I've been deprived. Ken did make me a coffee, don't get me wrong, but only the one. And in the amount of time I've been out of here, that should constitute 3 or 4, not 1. Right, again, in amongst the tray, that looks like a healthy plant. Yeah, there's no new growths showing, but yeah, yes there is. There is this new growth showing here. But nonetheless, there are growths that have matured recently. So let's see if we've got a name on this one. This is one to do some research on. I remember looking at the label. Now, the second word there, prestans, implies this is a species. But the first word looks like M-A-K-I. What the hell that's supposed to be short for? Actually, that could be an X. That could be M-A-X-I, in which case this could be a maxillaria. Not sure, looking at the plant, but anyway, we will have a look into that one. But that looked a nice, reasonably healthy plant with one new growth on that hasn't matured yet. So that could even bloom. None of these look like they needed repotting instantly, unlike a lot that came out of Geoff's place that just had all the hallmarks of needing a repot right now. Another young plantlet, 2 old bulbs, 1 small bulb, and a nice strong new growth. What have we got here then? Again, tiny little plant. Right, this is an ODM. I'll have to look that up. But Luteo Purpureum variety Skeptrum. But anyway, I will Google these and see what comes up, get their full names, get rid of some of these capital letters on the species, I'll get them in my notes, and we'll go from there. But again, a plant to grow on. And I've never heard of it. And it's a species. So this could, you know, I was told emphatically by several people that Derek had some incredibly rare plants in his collection that would be virtually impossible to source again. So again, he inherited some of a collection that basically was based on rare plants from a guy who died a while ago. So right, so now what we've got here is Oncidium. I can never say that word. Oh, you can read it, you flipping selves. But this is the one that's had the confusion. Yeah? This is basically where Sotoanum came from. And basically, the original Oncidium that was described in a black and white drawing. And for all that time, everybody thought it was the yellow Oncidium that had been described. And then the pink one that had been described, but then suddenly they found out that it was actually describing the other one, which was then renamed as Sotoanum. So we don't know what this is going to be until it blooms. It could be the yellow Oncidium, it could be it's just Sotoanum. That's a wait and see. Again, a few older bulbs and one new growth. But this one has bloomed on the previous growth. Both sides, spike on both sides of that. So that's that one. There's more in here than I thought. I'm going to have to move my coffee in a minute. Right, what have we got now then? Again, another one. A few older bulbs and a new growth. There's a lot of them that are like this. Now, this is Oncidium Emrys Jones, that looks like. And the other label in here says Odontoglossum Emrys Jones. So that's one that's been renamed and was originally an odont. So I should be able to look that up, find some blooms. And again, a new growth. Media doesn't look bad. It's got some charcoal in it. None of these have an urgency about them to get them out of the pot. I said, unlike some of the stuff that came out of Geoff's that had, you know, should have been repotted 3 months ago written all over them. Oh, this originated in Burnham's. Nice to see a Burnham's label. And this is a very faded label. Oncidium Chesbratianum. Chesbratianum, that looks like. I have never heard of that. Again, we will look it up. Again, tiny little plant with a healthy new growth coming on it. But miniature again. You know, there's not a huge number of miniature Oncidiums. A lot of them are flipping great strappy things. Right, and Ken just dumped this one on me. This wasn't one I picked. Oh no, that's. You remember I lost my Sherry baby. Well, this potentially is a replacement, but again, it's not a flowering size plant. It needs a new growth as well, and hopefully it will get one in the not too distant future. That bulb looks a bit iffy down there, buried in there. I think we'll have to put a knife down in there and take that off. Take it off at the base. Doesn't need repotting. It's just when a bulb goes that colour, I'm always dubious that it's actually turning soggy and the actual bacterial infection can get into the main plant. So that one needs a little bit of work. And I'm running out of space. We'll have to I'll stick them behind me for now. On the watering table. Got some room there. Well, we have now anyway. More coffee. As you can see, this is a lot more plants than I intended getting, but most of them are tiny, you know. Where the Bulbophyllum Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry is, all these plants would fit there, except the last one that I'll get out that's in bloom. Right, what have we got here then? Another little plant, and the latest growth on this is maturing. So this hasn't got a young new growth coming on it, it's maturing, that growth. So a bit different this time. And that's Oncidium. I wonder. No, I was just saying, is there a word? I was wondering if there was a word hidden under that dirt. But so again, that's Praestens, Oncidium praestens. We'll look that up. That could have been an odont at one point. Derek was qualified judge and was quite a stickler that when a plant came into a show, it was given its correct latest name, not its old name, although there was a bit of tolerance at the Bournemouth shows. Again, small plant, new growth, pushing out some roots to grow on. And this is Wilsonara. Why did I grab that? Have a look at the rest of the name. Tiger Brew Yellow. What's that going to look like then? Well, it's a Wilsonara. That means it's going to have pretty large blooms for the size of the plant. They will look like the old odontoglossums, and I suspect it's going to be yellow with tiger red stripes on it. Tiger Brew Yellow. That's a guess. The other thing that Ken said is that once he got the plants back to his place, he spent quite a lot of time thoroughly going over the plants and didn't find a bug. They were clean. This are good. And the last one, I grabbed this as soon as I saw this. It's in flower. It's one I had a long time ago. I'm not quite sure why I haven't got it now, because it was a long time ago. So Prosthetia, probably been renamed, and it's radiata. The fragrance is stunning. So there you go, one in bloom. This looks like it's there's a potential for another bud coming out there, because this is heading off in two directions. It could even be two separate plants, one here and another piece here. Could be, but it doesn't need coming out the pot, so I won't find out for a while. But it's a plant that's bloomed several times in the past and is currently blooming. These are upside down blooms, very attractive and very fragrant. This was a plant at Burnham's that they had quite a number of in their orchid paradise, their display area, and I went with Hannah and we were walking round. We were looking at the fish in the pond at the time, and I said, "Oh, what is that fragrance?" And she said, "I don't know, but I don't like that at all." And yet I thought it was fabulous. It's funny how different people's noses, interpret the same fragrance. But she didn't like it. She moved away once we eventually found out what the hell it was. Because when a place is full of plants in bloom, sometimes it's not obvious which is the one that's giving off the fragrance when there's fans moving it around, Anyway, so that's what I got. Those are they. I will find somewhere to put these for now. They will be temporary placements, and most of them are probably just going to go down there on that shelf, which isn't currently in use. It's a relatively cool area. It's got shading above, and the cool air comes in from that inlet fan sort of thing. So if that kicks on, then they'll get some cooler fresh air in there, and we'll go from there. As I said, these are mainly plants to grow on and see what they are, see what blooms we actually get, and at that point I make the decision whether I keep them longer term or not. I also need to look them up and do some research on the grounds that it's difficult to find out. When you look a plant up, it's not going to tell you that it's incredibly rare in cultivation. You won't find that out. I will have to use devious means to find that sort of thing out. But anyway, that's what I got. No bugs. As Ken said, they all look squeaky clean. No signs of viruses or anything odd. They just look like nice plants. It's just odd that they're all tiny little plants, including some that are normally much bigger, if you see what I mean. Anyway, those are they. I forgot to leave my donation, which is that's the sort of deal. You can go there, you can have as many plants as you like, but you leave a suitable donation to the society. And I forgot to do mine, even though I took my checkbook with me. But I think I will go back and possibly have a few more. I think I was the first one to have a look today. Mainly because I got the information this morning to say, do you want to come today? Oh, okay. Off I went. Anyway, those are they, and as I say, we'll get them into me notes, which means I need to take all the plants into where the laptop is so that I can take the labels out one at a time, put them in my notes, and then they can come back out here. And we'll see what we can do. But what I like is there's nothing urgent here. You know, there's nothing that's soaking wet, nothing that's soggy, nothing that says repot me now or I will die. And I like that, which means I could go back for a few more. I had the place to myself today. I was chatting to Ken while I was doing it. He's had both of his jabs. I've had one of mine. We're in an outside space effectively, so you know, we're nattering away about all sorts of things really. So there it is. Those are the new plants. You may have heard of a few of them. Some of them I suspect you've never heard of, nor have I. But we'll work on it, and that will be the video for today. Trip to somewhere else, pick up some plants, have a look at them, and job done. And I'm pleased with what I've got, on the grounds that I haven't got any work to do straight away, and I like that. If you look at some of these labels, not all of them. That's a Burnham's label. Some of these labels on the back, they've got the name on one side, and on the back they've got the repotting history. And they've been repotted every year since 2013. So why are they only this big? This leaves a lot of questions that we're not ever going to get an answer to. So there you go. But some of these, 2013 makes them 7-8 years old. In which case they should be a lot bigger than this. Maybe they've been constantly split and passed on to others, which would be a nice way to think about it. Yeah, good stuff. See you next time.